Now, ahead of the most anticipated Quad Leaders Summit at the White House this week, the Foreign Secretary of India has given an update on the Indian Prime Minister's US visit. Listen in.
Prime Minister will be accompanied by a high-level delegation consisting of the External Affairs Minister, the National Security Advisor, senior officials, including myself. The main elements of the program are bilateral meetings with the US leadership, participation in the Quad Leaders Summit, address at the UN General Assembly, and business interactions. One of the highlights of the visit is the Prime Minister's meeting with the US President, President Joe Biden in the White House. You are undoubtedly aware that this would be the Prime Minister's first in-person meeting with President Biden. I think it is important to make it clear that the Prime Minister has met President Biden in his earlier capacity as Vice President, but this is the first in-person meeting as President of the United States of America.
The general debate of the 76th session of the UN General Assembly is hours away, and more than 100 heads of state and government will attend in person. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to address his 5th UNGA session as the first speaker on the 25th of September. Let's now take a look at the Prime Minister's previous appearances at the UNGA.
After assuming office as the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi has travelled to the US every year, except in 2018 and 2020.
सर्वप्रथम मैं संयुक्त राष्ट्र
Prime Minister Modi gave his maiden address at the UNGA in 2014. Following the footsteps of BJP patriarch Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Prime Minister Modi delivered his UNGA speech in Hindi.
भारत के प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में
His 35-minute address covered a number of subjects: terrorism, reforms of the United Nations, and the need for a more inclusive global development were the highlights of his speech. He also took a jab at Pakistan and said that India was prepared to engage in a serious bilateral dialogue with Pakistan in a peaceful atmosphere without the shadow of terrorism.
मैं पाकिस्तान से मित्रता और सहयोग बढ़ाने के लिए पूरी गंभीरता से शांतिपूर्ण वातावरण में बिना आतंक के साये के साथ द्विपक्षीय वार्ता करना चाहता हूं, लेकिन पाकिस्तान का भी यह दायित्व है कि उपयुक्त वातावरण बनाए और गंभीरता से द्विपक्षीय बातचीत के लिए सामने आए.
In 2015, PM Modi's key message to the UNGA was on climate change. Once again, Prime Minister Modi addressed the 193-member-strong assembly in Hindi. He underlined how an industrializing India was also acting responsibly. Reiterating the slogan of climate justice, Modi told the Assembly that India was already on the way to implementing several of the Agenda 2030 goals. He called for more global emphasis and cooperation in developing renewable sources of energy through innovation, finance and technology.
क्लाइमेट चेंज की चुनौती से निपटने में उन समाधानों पर बल देने की आवश्यकता है जिनसे हम अपने उद्देश्यों को प्राप्त करने में सफल हो सके. हमें एक वैश्विक जनभागीदारी का निर्माण करना होगा, जिसके बल पर टेक्नोलॉजी, इनोवेशन और फाइनेंस का उपयोग करते हुए हम क्लीन और रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी को सर्वसुलभ बना सके.
पाकिस्तान वालों, आपने क्या बनाया?
Over the next 3 years, from 2016 to 2018, former External Affairs Minister of India, Sushma Swaraj, addressed the annual gathering. Prime Minister Modi's speech during the 74th UN General Assembly in 2019 was his first after winning a second term as Prime Minister in a resounding electoral victory. In a clear jab at Pakistan, Modi called for unanimity in combating terrorism and said the UN needed to adopt a new direction. While addressing the session, he described terrorism as one of the biggest challenges before humanity and emphasized the importance of the world standing as one against it.
हम मानते हैं कि ये किसी एक देश की नहीं बल्कि पूरी दुनिया की और मानवता की सबसे बड़ी चुनौतियों में से एक है। आतंक के नाम पर बटी हुई दुनिया उन सिद्धांतों को ठेस पहुंचाती है जिनके आधार पर यूएन का जन्म हुआ है और इसलिए मानवता की खातिर आतंक के खिलाफ पूरे विश्व का एकमत होना, एकजुट होना मैं अनिवार्य समझता हूं।
2020's UNGA session was unlike any other before it. On account of the coronavirus pandemic, global leaders sent in pre-recorded video statements to the general debate of the 75th session of the UNGA. In his video statement, Modi called for major reforms to the United Nations. He criticized the international body for keeping India out of the decision-making structures of the UN. He also spoke about India's contributions over the centuries and during the pandemic.
संयुक्त राष्ट्र की प्रतिक्रियाओं में बदलाव, व्यवस्थाओं में बदलाव, स्वरूप में बदलाव आज समय की मांग है.
This year, Prime Minister Modi will address the 76th session of the UN General Assembly on the 25th of September as the first speaker of the day. Prime Minister Modi is expected to highlight the Afghan crisis after the Taliban takeover and the continuing threat posed by Pakistan-sponsored terrorism. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
WION World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.